Well, to Cage Minds, I'm Micah Frankel, and today we are joined by Richard Jennings ahead of his pro debut, Fight World 27, November 26th. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's good to be talking to you again.
Man, my pleasure as always. It's been quite the journey. You've racked up the cage time. You've had the ups and the downs. How's it feel now to be taking the next step in this journey to becoming a professional fighter?
Man, it feels great. It feels like the last 6 years of hard work and effort is finally paying off, and can't wait to get in there. I feel like I should have been at this point a few years ago, but obviously with everything that happened, it's not something we can help. But I'm glad to finally be here.
I also know that you've floated around weight classes in your time as an amateur. How much from the amateur experience have you learned who you are, where you want to compete, and how you want to compete?
Um, I got real comfortable with the featherweight weight class. I got real comfortable down at 145 in the amateur leagues. This one we're going up to 155 just to kind of try it out again. I did one fight at 55 as an amateur, but we're just kind of testing the water, seeing where I feel about it. I still kind of feel like 145 is my home, but I'm excited for this challenge at 155.
How do you look back upon, as you said it, a long 6 years? The ups, the downs, the wins, submissions, knockouts, some great fights. How do you look back on the time put into the cage as an amateur?
You know, the ups were obviously great parts of my career and things that I'll always look back on fondly, but the downs are just as important. I mean, you always learn more from the losses than you do the wins, and I'm happy I was able to get that experience out of the way, ups and downs. I'm happy to have those experiences to look back on moving forward.
What's the top moment that comes to you when you think about your amateur career?
Top moment, I mean, that first win, I don't think you can ever really beat that first win by armbar. There were so many nerves going into that fight, and everything just happened so fast. And finally getting in there and finally realizing that yes, this is what I want to do, and just taking it from there. It's been an incredible journey.
And what was the conversation like with you and Coach Hudson as you said, okay, now we're ready. This is the time we're making that jump to the pro ranks.
That conversation really it's been a conversation we've been having for a couple of years now. It's it's been more of a, okay, one or two more fights, one or two more fights. Okay, one more fight. Okay, next fight, we're gonna do it. And finally we got down to this one coming up, and we both know it's time. And we've had other coaches talk to us too, and we've had we've had everybody around us basically saying, yeah, it's time, we're ready, we need to do this. And I really feel like it's kind of a now or never type deal. Like, can't stay amateur forever. I got to take that big step.
So to say it, you feel prepared, you feel ready to start this next chapter.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I'm ready for 5 minute rounds. I'm ready for that payday. I'm ready to try and make it big here.
Well, then how do you feel? How has camp been? Everything in lead up to the 26th.
Camp's been solid. It's been real solid. It's one of the few times that we've had a full team going into a fight. A lot of times in the past, we lose guys towards the end of the camp, and training levels kick up, and some guys kind of dip out, and they don't really come up as consistently. And this time we've had a real good group of guys, a real solid group that pushes me, and really put together a good thing for the last few weeks. And I'm really happy with how everything's going.
If you could, would you say, did you feel like, was there a theme to this camp?
Um, Yeah, there was definitely a theme. I mean, we know we're going against a wrestler, so we were real heavy on the wrestling defense. But obviously, you got to be ready for anything with an MMA fight. So we've been real heavy on the striking too, as always. I mean, everybody knows I'm known for my striking, so we made sure that's still sharp as ever, but really working on that wrestling defense. And over the last few years, we've been solid on the ground. So I'm not. I think the wrestling defense was probably the biggest thing we worked on, but overall, we've been focused on everything.
When weren't you taking on a wrestler? Isn't that been just the repetitive theme here for a while? Get that takedown defense, get that takedown defense, keep the fight on the feet so you can display that Tae Kwon Do, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody knows my striking's dangerous, and everybody knows I'm typically the taller guy for the division. So everybody wants to get underneath me. Everybody wants to take me to the ground and make sure I can't kick them, you know? So we gotta we gotta always stay on top of the wrestling defense, make sure that the kicks can fly.
And how have you been increasing that wrestling defense?
We've been working wrestling almost every day during this camp, and we've had quite a few guys that are bigger than me, a couple guys that are floating around 200 pounds that are trying to take me down day in day out, trying to get me to the ground, and really seen a lot of improvement there. And so we're feeling confident.
And now talk to me about the striking. How's that evolved? Because we know that your kicks are so dangerous, but how's that boxing coming together?
Boxing's looking great. Boxing's good. We've been focusing on the punching power this time, trying to get some knockouts, some knockdowns. So we've been we always knew the kicks were there. We just got to get the hands to catch up. That's all.
Korey Windham's going to be the opponent. Why move up a weight class and come on for a big old wrestler for the first challenge as a pro?
I mean, if there's no challenge, there's no point, right? Like, I'm not going to go looking for tin cans. And towards the end of my amateur career, we had a hard time finding 45ers that wanted to fight. You know, the matchmakers really struggled to find me opponents, and so we were really playing around with moving up to 155 towards the end of the amateur career, and this option came up, and you know, I'm not one to shy away from a challenge. They gave me the option, so I took it.
What is it about challenging yourself that you enjoy so much?
I feel like win or lose, as long as it's a challenge for me, I feel like the fight is worth it. No matter what the outcome is, because I don't want to go into a fight knowing I'm gonna just beat the guy. I don't want to go into the fight knowing I'm gonna demolish him. You know what I mean? I want to challenge myself. I want to get better. I'm not here to beat a bunch of tin cans beneath me. I'm not here to be the top of the bottom. I want to fight the best fighters. I want to fight people who are going to push me to make myself a better fighter.
And now, as you're changing the chapter, you said some of the things, but how do you reassess the goals? Because I'm sure they've changed now as you're embarking on the new side of this journey.
Absolutely, the goals change a little bit. We gotta start looking at the national stage rather than just regionals and stuff like that. We gotta start branching out to other states, and eventually, once we get to that point, other countries maybe, and really just got to start looking at different levels of competition and trying to get as high as we can. Just looking for that challenge.
I know that the striking, the grappling, those are the plain areas that we see right in front of ourselves in the cage. But what have been some of the other areas where you felt like you've had to take your game to a next level to be a pro?
I mean, I've always really prided myself in my conditioning. I love the fact that I can go 3 rounds without needing to really take the extra step to say, hey, I need to work on this. I'm struggling here. You know, I've never struggled with 3 rounds before, and I really wanted to make sure that that trend continues, because that's if we go 3 rounds, that's an extra 6 minutes I've never done before. So really had to step up the conditioning, step up the cardio, make sure that on the off chance that it does make it all 3 rounds, we'll get there no problem.
Looking at the opponent, opposite, he had 2 fights in like 3 years. You have quite a bit of amateur experience. Do you feel that gives you an advantage that you have this relationship with the cage? You've been in there many times.
Yeah, cage time is definitely a factor. I mean, I have a lot of experience being inside the cage with my 10 fights, and you know, it's also kind of what you make of it. I feel like I do have a little bit of an advantage, but I can't just rely on that, you know, because just because I have more cage time, more cage experience, that doesn't mean that he's going to be a slouch. That doesn't mean he's going to go in there and not be comfortable. You know, I'm very comfortable in the cage. I'm ready to go. It feels like home to me. It doesn't mean that just because he's only had 2 fights, that doesn't mean he's not going to feel the same way.
What are you expecting of the fight, of that possible 15 minutes?
I expect him, first and foremost, I expect him to want me on the ground. I expect I expect that wrestling to come out. Um, Beyond that, I expect it to be a scrap. I expect it if it stays on the feet, I expect to pick them apart from a distance like I always try to do. And if it goes to the ground, then I expect it to become a jiu-jitsu battle. I'm gonna try and showcase what I've been working on the last 3 years with Master Machado and all the other great instructors we've been working with, Professor Brad, Professor Chad, everybody. So I can't wait to, if it does go to the ground, showcase some of my new fun jiu-jitsu moves.
We have the fight coming up. I'm sure it's going to be an exciting one. What should the fans now know as Richard Jennings is taking this next step in his career?
Know that I'm not going to be different. The money's not going to change anything. The fact that I'm going to go out there, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to look for the challenge. I'm going to look to make it exciting. I'm going to look to put on a show. It's not going to be anything different than what you guys have seen before. Just going to be out there having fun, trying to put on a show for you guys.
November 26th, Fight World 27. Thank you for the time, sir.
Yes, sir. Anytime.